What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Uh, Make sure to like, subscribe as you tune into the channel. Check out the content. And with that being said, in this video, I want to talk about a point that Rob Parker and his co-host on the Odd Couple made about the inexperience and the youth of the Spurs, right? And I had this argument with one of my co-hosts on my Sunday sports show, right? And I was trying to tell him that the coach for the Spurs is very young. Then on top of that, he's coaching a young team. And so some of the mistakes that the team was making throughout the year will come back and bite them in the playoffs. For instance, when Victor Wembanyama got that rebound and he wanted to, and I think it was game 2, he got the rebound. That's when he did the turnover. He got the rebound and he was getting ready to bring the ball up the court. What's the guy name? I think his name, not Harper, but the other guy. He kind of waved this guy off, and the guy turned his back and started to run down court. Now, all throughout the season, Victor Wembanyama has been bringing the ball up court. And I was telling my friends, I was like, look, just because Victor Wembanyama is capable of bringing the ball up court, you don't want him to be bringing the ball up the court because he is not a pure point guard. And so in clutch situations, he's not going to know how to react to those situations because that's not his job, right? And, you know, they telling me, well, Victor Wembanyama, he different. He can do that. He can do that. I was like, that's not the point. He's 7'5". He's more of a, in my opinion, he should be more of a low post ball player than a point guard. And that's the point guard. That's just two separate mindsets, right? He wound up turning the ball over. But all throughout the season, his coach and the coaches on the team, they never corrected that. And then clutch time come and he do something different. You know, he tried to pass the ball and his teammate had his back turned to him, and that's what caused that turnover. But Victor Wembanyama he should have got the ball and threw the ball immediately to the outlet. You know, and that's just basic basketball. Mike Brown is experienced. You know, he's been here before. So Mike Brown know how to make adjustments. Mike Brown know how to coach these things. And that's part of the reason why I do think that this Spurs team is too young. Now, this topic came up on the Odd Couple, and Rob Parker and his co-host discussed it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the audio because I agree with a lot of what they said, and whatever they say on here that I don't agree with, I'm going to come back and rebut it.
What I know about Wemby, Rob, is he is an incredible player. I told you he's obviously going to be the face of the league, one of the best ever when it's all said and done. But the reason I picked the Knicks was that he alone, as well as the Knicks, the Spurs. If this were just the Spurs, Rob, and just Wemby was the young one, I'd be okay with this. The issue that I have with the Spurs is that everybody's young. Your best players are 22, 21, 20, and even your coach is young. He's like 38. That ain't Greg Popovich. Mitch Johnson's got to learn. And so what will happen in game 2? Wemby starts to go to work, starts to score, brings them back in it, but then he has his couple of bad plays, right? He has a turnover, which turned to the foul, which turned to the shot. He got a good look, but you would prefer a better shot to end the game and try to win it. And so he had his moment, Rob, that comes with the bumps and the bruises of the NBA. He's not alone in this. I look at guys like Kobe Bryant. Young phenom. People are excited about him. He's in the playoffs against the Utah Jazz. What does he do? Shoots a bunch of air balls. He had to have his moment. I look at a young Shaq, toast of the town, new fun thing in the league. He's got all the commercials. He got platinum albums. Finally goes up against Hakeem and the Rockets in the finals. They get swept, and he gets schooled by Hakeem, and he realizes you still got work to do, young fella. I look at, of course, LeBron. 22 years old, just like Wemby, gets to the finals versus the who? The Spurs, gets swept. Tim Duncan and them show him how you do it and show him what an expert and veteran team looks like. And I look at the Spurs and I say, if it were just Wemby was the 22-year-old, but they had an older Tim Duncan or a Ginobili or even a Kawhi, then I feel much more comfortable. But the fact that he is the eldest of the better players is a problem. And the guys who won young, Magic had vets, Jamal Wilkes, Storm and Norman, Nixon. He had, of course, Kareem. And then you look at Larry Bird when he won young. You had veteran guys on those teams. And that's my challenge with the Spurs. It's not that they're not good, not that they're not very good, but they hadn't gone through the lessons. They hadn't gone through those turnovers and bad moments like he had in game 2. You kind of got to go through that to get there. Michael Jordan was incredible in the postseason, but he wasn't winning anything because he had to go through it. He scored 60-something against the Celtics, still lose. So that's when I watched game 2 and I watched the end and some of the mistakes. We just had Olden Polynice on. What did he say? He said they've outplayed the Knicks in a large portion of this series, but they don't know how to have key moments, how to close out, and they make a few young blunders and young mistakes.
Now, let me say this. He just said that the Spurs have outplayed the Knicks, which I disagree with. I think that the Spurs have a game plan. So, I mean, the Knicks have a game plan. So if the Knicks fall behind against the Spurs, that don't necessarily mean that the Spurs are outplaying them. It just means that the game plan, if you're watching the game plan for the Knicks is just, it's just developing and it's coming because they let the Spurs just wear themselves down, and then the Knicks come on strong in the end. They, all 3 of the games, that's how it's been. Now, the first 2 games, the Knicks won. The third game, they wasn't able to come back and take control down the stretch, right? So what I think in game 4, I think the Knicks are going to come out strong and just try to maintain that, put that pressure on them for the whole game instead of trying to, because the Spurs made an adjustment to that. That's why they won game 3. They made adjustments to what the Knicks was doing. But I disagree with his statement that they have been outplayed. Just because you had a lead at certain points in the game, that don't mean that you're being outplayed.
And that's, to me, what's played out thus far. They've been competitive. They've been right there. They've had the lead at times. Obviously had the lead in game 1, but they haven't been able to close. And even Mitch Johnson hasn't mastered it as a coach yet. When should I call timeout? When should I not? When should I drop a better play? And this is just a part of the learning curve. And I saw it, to me, when that little minute and a half for Wemby was a bad stretch, last 45 seconds or whatever it was. That was his Kobe airballing. That was his Shaq getting schooled by Hakeem. That was his Bron just not ready and prepared enough for the Spurs. He's been good, but he hasn't been great, and nor have the Spurs. And I think they're going to learn, and they're going to be forced to be reckoned with in the future. But this is why a veteran, more grizzled team like the Knicks have been through it a little bit. You got a coach has been through it. You got 4 of their starting 5 guys won championships in college. They know how to get it done. This is why, to me, the Spurs are just early. It's not that they're bad. They're just early, Rob.
Yeah. And I agree with that. They are early. But also keep in mind, I think that the blueprint for how to play Victor Wembanyama is out there too. So not only are they early, but I think that it's not going to get any easier for Victor Wembanyama. So Victor is going to have to, number one, his game is going to have to be more efficient. And one way he can do that is by playing closer to the basket. And we spoke on my on the Sunday show, the live show that we do. He's also going to have to develop like a go-to shot, a go-to move, like the sky hook, or Mike had that fadeaway. Kobe had the fadeaway. Magic had the half hook. He need a bucket like a move like that that's just basically almost unstoppable. That's what's going to be able to take him to the next level, because I think that the league is adjusting to him, and he's going to have to adjust to the league.
I disagree totally, because we just saw OKC, the second youngest team to ever win a championship. They didn't have any of those guys. They were a very young team, 25 years old. And the conversation you're having, and I'm just going to call it like I see it. Mm-hmm. If Wemby makes that shot, that is not the conversation you would be like the difference between you saying them not being ready is the difference between not the turnover, one shot. If he knocks that shot down, they came back from 14 down, right, against the Knicks. They also win that game, and then it's 1-1, and you would feel totally different because Wemby had the big 3-point play.
No, I disagree. Like I said, when you allow Wemby throughout the season to bring the ball up the court and like those type of decisions and coaching moves will catch up with you sooner or later. So if Wemby had hit that shot and he didn't turn the ball over, all that means is that the Spurs are winning despite him not playing and making decisions that he shouldn't make. Because sometimes you could win, and then when you look at the film of you winning, you be like, wow, I there's still some things in my game that I could clean up. So they won. They would have won despite some of the the coaching blunders and despite some of the decisions that Wemby has made.
That stretch with the 14 points to get them back in that game. They looked dead. They looked out of it in the third quarter, in the second half at that point when they fell behind, and they played. And as great as Cat has played and done a good job, he had 4 points in the second half. That's what he had. He had 4 points in the second half. And I agree with Olden. There are stretches, big stretches, where they have played better than the Knicks, and they have made in game one. De'Aaron Fox was bad, really bad, right? Wemby didn't play great. He didn't shoot well, 6 for 21, and they lose by 10. This game, of course, is a heartbreaker because you're going to go down 0-2, but it's a 1-point game. I don't look at it like they can't win, and I don't even know. This is just my gut.
Mm-hmm.
They could push through and win tonight and win the next 4 games. That is what I feel like if they were to get it together. Even Brunson, who you can normally count on, when he missed that free throw, was that not an opening? Were you shocked?
For sure. That's unlike him.
Yeah, but that was
same thing. Go for the Knicks. Like the Knicks wound up winning despite the fact that Brunson missed, free throws. And so anytime you're preparing for a team, what you're trying to do is you're trying to basically, you're trying to iron out all the kinks in your game so you don't make mistakes. And a lot of time when it comes to championship games like this, it's the team that make the less mistakes that usually wind up winning the games, or it's the team that make the mistake at a crucial time that usually lose a game. So, and that's what happened. In game 2, Wemby made a mistake. I don't think that going forward, like the coach is they're gonna have Wemby give that ball up in that situation to an outlet. Give it out, pass it to the outlet. Wemby fill the lane. That's just basic basketball. They're not gonna coach Wemby to be like, all right, continue to bring it up. I don't care what the situation is. So I disagree with that part of it though. But that's my take on it. Make sure to like, subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to leave a comment, and I'll check you all out in the next video. Peace.